Never thought I'd geek out in this movie, but when my boy Sky from Power Rangers SPD was playing one of the photographers as an extra in this film, I geeked out. Miss Sloane is directed by John Madden, written by Jonathan Pereira, and it stars Jessica Chastain, Mark Strong, and Gugu Mbatha-Raw. This takes place in DC in the middle of this dispute between political power brokers, and Miss Sloane is this very sought-after political lobbyist. One day she decides to take on the most powerful opponent of her career, and from then on, we get our political thriller. One that is engaging, and while at the same time it is not. First of all, Jessica Chastain. This woman proves why she is a great sought-out actress. She is great in this movie. She is dynamic, she is riveting, just like most of the dialogue in this film, and this woman is a wall. This woman breaks for no one or anything. This woman is unbreakable, and if you start staring into her soul, you maybe find that she has none, because Jessica Chastain plays this powerful character, and one whose decisions you might not agree at most times, but then in comes some other perspectives in the movie that make you think a second time and about the decisions that this character makes. This is a very deepened and layered character study for a woman like this, and for people in this position of power, women or men. This is so great that you get inside this woman's thoughts through other characters, and once you see some things that she does in this movie, you kind of start to understand how this world kind of works, which we'll get into in the bads of this movie as well. This woman goes through an harrowing journey of breaking down the pros and cons of every decision you make, both professional and personal. And when you see the other characters they are dealing with her, you kind of start to see why some people would want her, why some people hate her, and in fact you might hate her as well throughout most of the runtime of this film. What I like about this character is that she never stops being interesting. Whether I like her or not, that's a whole nother issue that I've already talked about. This woman is always interesting. There's always another layer to be discovered about her relationships, about where she came from, about why she's doing what she is doing. And when she starts this kind of mentor-mentee relationship with Gugu Mbatha-Raw, it brings another dynamic to the film, which I really enjoy. These two bring a lot out of each other, and she makes Gugu Mbatha-Raw's character grow quite a bit. There comes a point in this movie where these two characters kind of diverge from each other. I mean, Gugu Mbatha-Raw just disappears from the movie, not going to tell you why. That lost some spark in Jessica Chastain's character. I mean this in a good way. You can clearly see that the relationship she had with Gugu Mbatha-Raw's character had an impact on her and made her evolve, made her progress as a character, made her have an arc. The whole cast is great in this movie. In fact, that's what made me invest in this film. From the dialogue to the decision making to everything just going on inside the lobbying perspective of this movie. When these characters are having meetings, they were always able to make it interesting because of how dynamic they were with each other. The all-around cast, even some who you might not even consider supporting characters, really minor characters with minor roles, they're all interesting. They all bring something to the table, in fact sometimes quite literally. One of the biggest issues I have with this movie though is the lingo. I told you that the dialogue itself was good because of how the actors display their lines, how they talk with each other, how dynamic they are when speaking. But the lingo that they use sometimes can be kind of too political. For instance, in the beginning of this movie, the first 2-3 meetings that they have, I did not understand the thing that was going on because it was just way too specific. If you're not into the world of politics, if you do not follow politics every single day and every single hour, you will not understand some things that are going on. It's not until the end of the movie where everything comes together, and that's where you feel rewarded. But another thing bad about this movie is the story, the plot. It's not that it is boring, but it just doesn't live quite up to the characters and how interesting they are. I'm interested in the characters because this movie, again, works as a great character study for Miss Sloane. However, the story itself kind of diverges into some points that feel unnecessary, or at least not quite as interesting as the characters themselves. The world is not as interesting as the people. That's what I'm getting at. There are many times in this movie where you will find yourself asking, where is this going? And was the way this movie began really the best way for this movie to begin with? These characters are all leading and converging into this one Congress hearing, and the movie starts with that. From then on, you see how they got to that point, and the last half an hour of this movie goes back to that Congress hearing, and how dynamic and riveting and engaging as the movie was until that last half an hour. It kind of makes you die down a little bit, and as much as everything comes together on there, you really got to stretch your imagination to feel engaged on this convergence of plot threads and plot points that really can kind of feel too complicated throughout the whole film. This is a good film through and through. It is not a revolutionary one. It is not something unique that you have never seen before, but it is interesting. It keeps you engaged. The characters are interesting. What they do and don't do, what the characters are interesting. What they do, likable or unlikable, is always interesting. It always adds another perspective throughout 2 hours and 15 minutes, which I think was kind of a too long of a runtime for this film, but still, there is not one scene that I can point out that was bad and doesn't bring anything to the characters, which again were the most interesting part of the film. Miss Sloane is a good film, but it is a film that you watch for the performances. The performances are better than the movie as a whole, than the story. It is not something that I would watch every day, but at the same time, it is something that I would like to watch again. This is not something that I would recommend to just anyone. If you are not into political thrillers or just political movies in general, this is not a movie I would recommend that to you. If you like your political thrillers, this is definitely one to watch. I will say, watch Miss Sloane if you're a fan of Jessica Chastain, if you're a fan of the cast in general, and if you're a fan of political thrillers. Otherwise, whether you watch it or not, your heart will go on. What did you think of Miss Sloane, my beautiful geekies? Did you like it? Did you not? Let me know your favorite political thriller in the comments below. And of course, start leaving your questions for the hashtag Silence Q&A in the comments. I'm going to watch Silence tomorrow, but I'm going to delay the Q&A to next Saturday, the 21st. For when all of you can watch Silence as it is released. But until then, I will bring you many other reviews, so don't forget to like this video and subscribe, and also click the bell next to the subscribe button and join the beautiful geeky community where we can be geeky united. Thank you so much for watching, my beautiful geekies. You guys are the freaking best. I love you all. Stay beautiful, stay geeky, shit.